Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks. It's a Sunday, not a Saturday. Episode 20. That's exciting. That's a cool number. 20 in 2020. How you doing, Andrea?
I'm good. Having a good week, actually. So
Oh, okay.
enjoying I know that sounded actually really terrible. Like, oh my God, I normally have bad weeks, but
Yeah.
no, just having a good weekend and having a good week. So happy to be here.
Nice.
How are you doing?
Good. Good. It was like not being a great week, but yesterday really improved it for me because the space launch, rocket launch.
Oh, yeah. I saw that was successful.
Yes. Followed that quite a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was really cool. I loved seeing the rocket that's reusable land back
Right.
on the remote platform on the ocean. That's
hmm
pretty cool. So, yeah, I'm excited.
What do
It,
you think this is like gonna do for space travel?
well, I mean, I just think that I appreciate that the ambition is back here.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the goal is to have 2 launches a year.
hmm
So these guys are supposed to be up for 120 days or something like that,
Okay.
and then come back, and then the next one goes, and
Oh,
they're testing out the new space shuttle,
okay.
and so they're getting all the feedback from them manually controlling it on a touch screen and stuff, and how it responds in comparison to the training, and then they'll
Sure.
tweak it, and the next one will go, and um, with the hopes to then within 2 to 4 years start putting permanent settlement pieces on the moon and start building basically a launch pad to go from there to Mars. And so like that's the
Cool.
big big picture kind of thing.
Okay.
And yeah, I think people are just pumped to be going back into space.
Yeah, you've clearly been following this much more closely than I have. I mean, I kind of knew all about like Elon Musk's tests, but I hadn't really followed this one in particular. So,
Yeah,
other than to know that it happened.
yeah. So it's the first, I mean, so space, it was shut down in 2011.
hmm
So now we have the first Americans leaving from American soil since then, now in an American rocket, a new rocket that was built by a private company. So
Right.
it's like just a lot of firsts or hasn't been done in quite a while kind of thing. And it's exciting. And they're going to take, there'll be other companies, it sounds like, potentially getting involved and contributing as well.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, no, it was cool. And I watched this morning then the docking with the International Space Station.
Yep.
So that was fun. Um, yeah, it has me pumped. I think we need those things that are uh, inspirational and aspiring, like something for people to aspire to, something
Yeah.
for mankind to aspire to.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's
reach,
it's inspirational and aspirational for sure.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah,
Yeah.
reaching new heights, and it's made me think like we should soon do a Star Trek episode.
Nice. Okay. I'm
I
always
think
in for that.
I think in honor of the launch and the new space age we're getting going, we should talk about our favorites and
Are we
not
gonna talk?
favorites.
Are we gonna talk show? Are we gonna talk movies? Are we gonna talk
I
both?
think the whole thing, if you've
Okay.
read comics and books from it, like just
Yeah.
the whole thing. We'll do an episode that's just dedicated to that.
Okay.
And,
Sounds good to me.
and I can use that as an opportunity to brush up on some Star Trek that I have not seen very much of. So,
Yeah, I was a Next Generation fan. Like I
yeah.
grew up on a lot of that. So that's probably like my most comfortable wheelhouse. I mean, I watched the movies, so I could talk about those too, but
Yep.
like older Star Trek, I've seen pieces, but not enough to like comfortably talk about really.
Yeah.
Be fun to brush up on that.
Yeah, I think we can kind of do the reverse. Like to me, I need to watch more next gen,
Okay.
and yeah. I don't know. Maybe we need to do some sort of like watching through one of them. I don't know. There's so many things we could do that with, but either way, I think that Star Trek deserves an episode.
It does. I mean, and we obviously have to weigh in on the age-old debate, Kirk or Picard.
Yep.
So.
I won't say anything now. Let's save the episode. But,
all right. I feel like people can guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, but yeah, I can. Yeah, right. It's kind of like, who's your favorite Bond? Well, who was your first Bond? Kind of thing usually. So.
Right. Although I have to say, my favorite Bond wasn't my first Bond.
Yeah, me neither. Actually, it just seems to be the general consensus.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. It's the same.
Yeah, my first Bond probably like rose in my estimation because he was my first, and there's like a little nostalgia there, but he's sitting at my third actually. So.
Okay. All right. Well, lots of we haven't had our Bond episode yet either. So I mean,
that's true. Yeah. That's true. I feel like that's like a good fit right before, the next one actually comes out, if it ever comes out, Yeah. I mean, it will, but it just feels so delayed, like so many other movies, unfortunately.
Yep. Well, are you drinking a mint julep?
I am not. No, I'm terrible. Okay. I'm not following our drink days. But I drank a mint julep earlier when it was Kentucky Derby Day, so I feel like I've got my fill in. So right now I'm just drinking some gin and lemonade, some like little summertime drink here.
Okay. Yeah, that does sound summery.
Yes, it's quite delicious.
Well, yeah. So mint julep day. I see you put on that tomorrow's World Milk Day.
I know. So I read that and was like, sure, okay.
Yeah. So I'm drinking milk actually.
Straight up?
Well, no, it's an espresso.
Okay, all right.
But there's plenty of milk in there then. So.
All right. Well, at least one of us is covering it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know the hard stuff.
Yeah. Take it easy, John.
Yeah.
Don't sip too fast. I feel like I'll cover Milk Day tomorrow. I'll have like a bowl of cereal and milk.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Chris just bought some Lucky Charms, so
Oh yeah.
A little callback to childhood there. Although I wasn't allowed Lucky Charms when I was a kid, so.
Oh, deprived.
I know. I never got the good sugary cereals. Like my parents had a limit, and I think about the sugariest cereal that I ever got was Kix, which is like, if you've ever had it.
Yeah.
Barely. Like it's like a fine dusting of sugar.
Ashley eats plenty of Kix yet because she just puts some Kix in a bowl and then like drizzles sunflower butter on top of it.
Oh, that's
and kind of mixes that in and eats that.
Sure.
So, yeah. We buy cereal basically now, other than Kix, so we have those, but otherwise we basically buy when we we see a really cool box.
Oh,
just pure marketing. Like it's we bought one when sometimes they come with a Funko Pop thing.
Yeah.
Or we bought one that had the Star Wars thing in the box. Just like occasionally when there's something cool enough, I guess, on the box, so we buy one of those.
Sure. Yeah, we're normally, I guess at least I'm not usually like a cereal person, but it feels like on the weekends Chris usually gets like the strong craving to like watch some cartoons and eat some cereal like he did when he was a kid. So
yeah.
So he sort of like reintroduced sugary cereal into my life.
Dangerous.
Yeah, I know. It's bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I need it. It's silly because with all this staying at home stuff, I haven't been eating out as much. So you'd think I would be healthier, and it's the exact opposite. Like I definitely have You can see in my face, the chunkster right here after all the terrible eating habits that have developed. So
It's hard. Like it's easy to snack when it's right there and it's so accessible, you know.
mhm.
And I feel like I spend because I'm working at home, like I spend so many more hours in front of the computer sitting down than I normally would. Like usually
Mhm.
at work, like I'll like make an excuse to go stretch my legs or, walk around the office or talk to people or something. But here it's like I can't go physically talk to anybody. I have to email someone. So
Yep.
yeah, it's tough.
Yep. All right. Well, enough of me pitying myself and my poor diet. I see this news story I put in here that I completely forgot about.
Oh,
Excuse
okay.
this like sweat here. My office is so hot. I need to, I just don't know what to do. I need to get one of those really nice wall mountable air conditioning units like they
Sure.
have in Japan or hotels or something, I don't know, or sit on a bag of ice. But uh,
That could be dangerous.
yeah,
That could be dangerous for your extremities, like once you no longer feel them. That
yeah,
could get, I don't
yep.
know. That could get dicey.
Well, anyways, X Arm, I guess is how
Yeah.
you say it.
Hmm.
New
I think so.
anime coming. It's based on a manga. I just saw the art they released for it, the key visual,
Yeah.
and it's cyberpunk-ish, I
Hmm.
guess. So my interest is piqued.
Yeah, it looks like it's a second run now or like a second season in a manga, I guess. Like it's a
Oh,
sequel.
okay.
From what I was like very briefly able to
Sure.
gather from what I perused online.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like there was something there already, and this is going to be like um a sequel, I guess. So that should
Okay.
be fun.
Yeah. I hope it is anyways, something different to I'm I'm tired of the um I've been sucked into a game or I'm transported to a fantasy land and like there's so many of those right now.
Yeah,
It's
I agree. Like it was fun. Like way back when like I started Sword Art Online,
hmm
that sort of like renewed my interest in that. And then now, like you said, I feel like that's a bit overdone.
Yep. Yep. I'll use that actually to talk about our neck like our clips. We're making
Yeah.
highlight element, not like highlight reels, but we're taking clips from certain pieces of our shows and we'll put those on YouTube. You can watch their shorter segments if you don't have the patience to stare at us for such stretches of time at once. And the next one's going to be about anime, and I know you bring out sword art. So,
Yeah, I
um,
think I think it's one of my favorites, so I would
yeah.
recommend anybody go watch it. I just recommended it to a friend actually. Oh,
Hmm.
to Phil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is episode 20. So we're going back to episode 2. You'll have to watch the clip yourself and see what you said about it.
That's right. I watched our last highlight clip and remembered myself talking about Stranger Things
Yeah.
as one of our favorite-ish shows that I didn't mention for the year.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was so strange. It was like I felt my disappointment in Hopper all over again. I was like, oh man, that's right. I'm like re-feeling it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of fun to look back.
Yeah.
Our very first show, such babies.
Yeah. And still all the tech problems.
I know, I know.
We still don't have it. I mean, yeah. I shouldn't complain. I'm sure everybody that does this kind of thing runs into it. You know, if you
Right.
don't, you should get a hold of me and tell us what we're doing wrong.
Right, let us know.
Yeah. What's the perfect solution for it all?
Hmm.
Um, so from a cyberpunky anime to I don't know, science fictiony cyberpunky reality of right
True.
now,
Yeah, I
I
think our
added this.
our
What's
first
that?
couple items all have kind of cyberpunky themes.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
So
I just put like We have Rehoboam from Westworld that we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Microsoft had just released, they had their annual build conference and they did it online this year and stuff or whatever. And they announced they
Right.
have like one of the top 5 supercomputers now. And
Mhm.
just in their part of their breakdown of that, they talk about some things that seem very Rehoboam-esque.
Yeah. I
Uh,
noticed that watching through like the intro video.
mhm.
I mean, obviously not quite the same. We're not quite there, but yeah.
No.
I mean, you can see some like foundational steps to what could be,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep. Yep. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
It,
it's nice to have like things. I don't know. There's when I watch something like this, there's a line for me. Like, it's nice to have things all interconnected and like interfaced, and you know what I mean. Like, multiple people can like share data, and like these supercomputers can share data to like pave the way for smoother, easier use from device to device. But then
mhm.
I don't know. Like, it does seem like how much do you learn about me, and how much do you learn about all of my habits when you try to make things easier for me. It's a
Yep.
double-edged sword.
Yep. Yep. It is. I don't know. There is, you know, everybody, if you're interested in the topics, go check out our Westworld breakdown, spoiler cast episodes, because we get into that kind of thing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Definitely thing we'll probably get into the future. But yeah, it came at a time, this was released at a time where we had just kind of wrapped that up almost.
Right.
And so it just was really another one of the things that was brought up in Westworld that is, we can, like you say, you can see the building blocks, you can see the
Mm-hmm.
beginning stages, you can see the elements that are talked about in Westworld in reality today. So
Right.
yeah. Um, see, we can also see in reality today Lady Gaga's new album
That's
that
right.
exists now.
Her sixth album.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that many, does it?
No, I feel like I must have like skipped over something somewhere because I thought this was maybe like four or five, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
already six.
Did you get to listen much of it?
I've listened to a couple songs, mostly her collaborations that she's done. Obviously, the
Hmm.
first one we talked about last week with "Rain on Me" with Ariana Grande,
Yep.
um, which has definitely become one of my running songs. It's on my
Okay.
running playlist because, like, I don't know, it's got like a good, up tempo beat, and I don't really have to pay attention to the lyrics too much, which you know
Yep.
is like good when I'm running. I don't want to be
Yeah.
distracted. I also need like a pump up jam to keep me going. So
Well, it's not on this album, but I'm telling you right now, you look up, you use Spotify? That's what you
yeah,
use? Okay, so you look up Maniac by
okay,
Carpenter Brute.
all
Uh,
right,
yeah,
writing
Alan
it
actually
down.
was the first one to bring up Carpenter Brute to me, but it's a cover of that song, Maniac, Maniac.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's that.
The
But his version, and
okay,
I just gets me going,
okay.
pumped up, ready to go.
That's the
So,
Flashdance song, right?
uh,
That,
oh, maybe, yeah, I'm not sure.
huh?
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's gonna bug me in the back of my mind now, but I'll look it up later.
I haven't I haven't seen much of that movie, so I couldn't speak to it. I should know though, anyways, I suppose. But anyways, yeah, Lady Gaga album. I'm okay with it so far. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, so I learned a little bit about it. That it's like basically in three different kind of interlocking parts. Like there's section one, two, and three, and then they like build to tell a story, and it kind of like starts out like very, light and kind of fun pop, but also like, drawing in a little bit of darker elements about, Lady Gaga sharing about her personality, kind of her struggles with depression, and how she's been dealing with that and how that's affected her relationships with other people. And then, moving into like darker elements,
Yeah,
like building on that and exploring those darker elements and
right.
later songs that become more soulful, more ballady,
Mm,
more just deeper, I guess.
yep.
So I've only kind of listened to the fun pop beginning. Like I was listening to her collab with Blackpink, Sour Candy, and Elton John, Sign from Above.
Okay.
Um, which I like her collaboration with Elton John better than I like her one with Blackpink, which was the
Okay.
opposite of what I expected.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it'd be opposite what I expect as well.
yeah, but I thought her voice and Elton John's actually blended really well, and it was kind of cool to hear them sing together.
Hmm.
They're a good duet partner, and the song they chose was great. So
Well, I'm excited to see more videos. I hope they make some more
mhm.
videos for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's got like kind of a cyberpunky, futuristic,
Mhm.
element to it as well.
Yep.
So it's kind of fun. It's a little bit of return to form for Lady Gaga with a bit of a new twist, I think.
Yeah, because the last one was very kind of had the kind of country elements and songs that
Yeah.
were pretty country and stuff.
Hmm.
I do like the John Wayne song a lot
Oh,
from the
I
last
don't know
one.
that one.
Oh, really?
No,
You
I
must
don't.
know it. I'm sure you know it.
I'm sure I
Um,
do, but I'm not thinking like
yeah.
of it.
How's
Sing it
that
for
go? Um,
me,
well, if I could think of how it went, I would.
It's
It
always hard when
the
you're like on the spot. You're like, oh my God, it like flees your mind. You're like, I have no idea. I was just thinking
yeah.
about it and now I have no idea. Yeah.
Let me let's see. Excuse some keyboard clicks, everybody. Clickety clackety. Um, let's see. John Wayne. I like that cover too. It's cool. Let's see. The music video is so fun for this song as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah, baby, let's get high. John Wayne.
Hmm.
That's like the main bit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm so yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think Lady Gaga does some really interesting, fun stuff. Like she does fun while also being meaningful, I
Yep,
think.
sure.
I think that's her talent there is like you get these like cool, fun, dancey numbers, but then when you listen to the lyrics, they're like about something. They're not just,
Sure.
you know, go
Yeah,
off.
there's a little sort of monologue she does or for a couple tracks on this new one. And one
Mhm.
of them, I like on Spotify anyways, it does kind of she sort of introduces or has a thought process behind the way she sees herself and I don't know, you have to listen to it. It's kind of cool. I like when certain things do that. Stevie Aoki has a few things like that on his Neon Future album. Kind
Right.
of,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, baby, let's get high. John Wayne, you don't know that? Baby, let's get high.
Oh,
John
I
Wayne.
do. I do. I don't know why
Yeah,
I couldn't think of that.
yeah. So
It just took you singing it for me, John.
yeah, I know. That's
I was
yeah,
just
that's
waiting to draw it out, see if you'd do
moving parts
it.
there. Um,
A little extra treat for our listeners.
something like that. They taste that treat and they spit it out. Ugh. That. Um, well, Lady Gaga, big in the media world, media mogul, I guess, and media streaming services are a big deal right now,
Yeah,
always. And HBO Max is the newest contender,
that's
newest
right.
entrant in the ring.
That's right. I feel like leading up to it, I saw so many commercials, especially centered around like Friends episodes. And then
Oh,
I didn't know that it was actually released. Do you know what I mean?
oh,
Like the day of release, like it didn't feel like, oh, it's available now. Like it just felt
okay.
like, oh, it's still coming yet. So that was kind of weird to be like, oh, it's here now.
Yeah, it kind of came up on me quicker than I expected, but then I saw my apps update everywhere
Oh,
on my
okay.
phone and
Sure.
on the Apple TV and all
Sure.
that. All of a sudden, it was instead of HBO Now, it was HBO Max.
Sure.
So that's when I knew.
Yeah. Have you explored anything on Max or watched
Not
anything
even, no, no.
yet? I
I
did a
was
little bit,
okay.
just because I was curious since we have HBO Go. I was kind of
Yeah.
curious if we were like just eligible to, kind of try it out, or if we were getting like a trial period, or if it was just going to automatically kind of shift over.
Hmm.
Still kind of unclear as to how exactly that works. I know we have access to it right now because I just logged in with our regular
Okay.
account. But I have no idea how long that lasts. I know we're not paying for it right now, but I don't know if it's like a week, a month, a year.
Okay.
No clue.
Well, that's the question. So is it because it would be much more simple for sure if you could just, if you're paying for an HBO subscription through a traditional method via like cable or
Right,
satellite, that then you have that access on there and you have access to the streaming elements of it. That would make
right.
sense. Or if you pay for, because we don't have cable or satellite, so we just strictly pay for the streaming
Oh,
element.
okay, gotcha.
And yeah, so that transition over and that makes sense there.
Sure.
But just
Yeah,
it feels like if you're paying for it already through your satellite or cable, you should get the streaming too, you would think.
yeah. I mean, I think that's how it works for now, and then it might be more once our like sort of introductory period is over.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
that's my best guess at how that's going to work. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't know how long our introductory period is, so I don't
Yep.
know how long we have to like kind of scope it out and see if it's something we want to invest in.
Yep.
Um, but I mean, in the future, we may not even have a choice. It sounds like they're just going to like roll up HBO Now and HBO Go into HBO Max at some point, and that's just going to be the only option. So,
Okay. Yep.
but yeah,
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of poked around it a little bit just to see what they had in terms of like original content, because I mean,
Hmm.
it is basically like what is on the HBO platform that we already get with HBO Go,
Yep.
and then just like a couple of extra additional things
Hmm.
that, you know, some of it which is their content and some of which is not. But yeah, they don't have a lot of original content right now. They feel very like Apple TV to me right now.
Yep.
So,
Well, Apple TV released with a few things, but
mhm.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what, what should we expect? Because like
Right.
Netflix obviously is an incredible giant machine now that
Mhm.
cranks out all kinds of content. Um, but that obviously is going to take time. And can we expect these services to launch in the state that Netflix is in now? You know?
Right. Yeah, I sort of, I don't know. I found myself disappointed on my first perusal of HBO Max, and then I was kind of like, well, maybe I'm judging too soon because obviously, like you said, Netflix didn't start out the way, it is now.
Hmm.
And, it's a content machine now. They have so much original stuff, but they just started out, recycling and carrying older content
Yep.
and offering that to people, as like an alternative to buying DVDs and stuff. And it's like, yeah, maybe I need to like hold my horses and and just like temper my expectations and
Yep.
just, kind of see how they develop.
Yep. I mean, what they need to do, I think, is, and it ties into the kind of extra next story that's involved with this is the Snyder Cut of Justice League is coming next
Yeah.
year to
Mhm.
HBO Max. Supposedly, they need to roll in the DC, I think it's called DC Universe
Yep.
streaming.
DCU.
They, yeah, they need to roll that in to this
Yes.
because right now there are good shows that are either being canceled or locked on this service that no one is using. And so they needed, if they could work out something where, shows like Swamp Thing that was
Mhm.
canceled, or
Right.
the animated Harley Quinn show that seems to be getting
Loved
good
that.
reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then people loved the show with Brendan Fraser and James Bond in it. I
Oh,
just can't.
um,
Strange. I was going to
no.
say Strange Brigade. That's a game. Doom
um,
Patrol.
yes, yes, thank you.
So I saw that out on Blu-ray the other day and stuff. But it's like, yeah, get these things into people's hands because then you could package that all together. This is another incentive to getting HBO Max, and then just do an add-on thing for all the comics, like a $3 a month add-on, $5 a month add-on to get all the comic book stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it would really set HBO Max apart and from, some other streaming services, and sort of put it on a potential level to compete with Disney. I mean, I don't think, especially now, that you're ever going to compete with the Marvel Universe on the same level, but who knows in the future?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
I mean, eventually, we're done with, as a tangent, but we're done with this phase of the Marvel cinematic universe.
Right.
And there's questions whether Spider-Man will be continued to be involved, or if there's going to be that kind of splinter thing where it's going to be more with Venom and Spider-Man and Sinister Six and different stuff there. Right. And we don't know. We're going to be introduced to the Eternals, and like this stuff could not be good. Like it could be like that their lucky streak here is over, or it does start to wear on people or something.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions about the next phase of the MCU. And when you move away from, some of the more well-known characters, like, is your formula going to be successful? Or, do you need to reinvent the wheel? But if you reinvent the wheel, do you do it poorly? I mean, obviously they had a great team, several teams rolling out the first phase, and they had planned it for so long. And now with less planning, just by nature of like moving to phase 2 from phase 1, and then, introducing new characters or side characters that people aren't as familiar with.
Yep.
I think it's a vulnerable time for Marvel, and DCU could really move into this space. And by extension, then HBO Max, if they pick it up.
It's a whole thing, like you say, it's a new time for the Marvel movies. Star Wars has its contentious elements. Right. We've got a different, I don't know if he's back now, but the drama with Bob Iger or not Bob Iger, that kind of thing, just a lot. And then Disney losing, I forget what insane amount of money it is per day, not being able to have the parks open.
Right.
That kind of thing. Like they're not a shoe-in here for success. They're going to have to keep working at it. And DC, I don't know. I mean, is the Snyder Cut release of Justice League going to change everything? Is it going to make it all better?
Who knows? I mean, that'll be a big question, I think. And if it does change everything, I think the DCU will have some new life.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got some small successes. They just need to build on those small successes. Like obviously Wonder Woman is a bright spot that they could continue to build on with 1984. We'll see. Yep. I think even though it's not like top of the top, I think Shazam was a pleasant surprise for people. I think it was successful and funny. Not quite a slam dunk, but like almost there, like a solid B. So and obviously Aquaman, everybody had fun with, even if it wasn't like the best written thing you've ever seen.
Sure.
So you've got places to go. You've got bright spots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if the next thing that kind of I wrote as a side note, if Henry Cavill does come back as Superman and does some cameos, and they revamp Superman, because they ventured a little too serious, I think, with Superman, and if they get back to kind of the more pleasant side, I guess, or sunnier side of Superman.
Balanced element, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's Superman. He's not always like dark and dour, and I think that was a bit of a mistake making him so. So if he can kind of get back to some of that, you can have a second shot.
I think generally people were good with Henry Cavill being Superman.
Yeah.
It's more of the movie around him kind of thing. That was the issue. So
yeah.
But people bring up so the actor, is it Ezra Miller, or something that plays the Flash?
Yeah.
He's in legal problems.
Yeah, he's got legal troubles right now.
Yeah. And then Mara, from Aquaman, is in legal problems, and then Ben Affleck is done with Batman. So you've
Right.
got these three roles that are kind of, central or important. And so even if this new cut is much more well received, what good does I mean, it's still confusing for an audience. Like you can't go forward hardly with a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And then you bring in Suicide Squad, which is recasting the main character there, and
Who are they
just
recasting? I didn't hear about that.
Will Smith isn't in it.
Oh, that sucks.
I forget who's replacing him, but it's not Will Smith. So
Ooh, I do not like that.
yeah,
Because I loved him as Deadshot, actually. Like he was kind of one of my favorite parts.
yeah, yeah.
So that's tough. Yeah.
And then you get
Well,
the Harley Quinn movie, which like seemed like generally pretty good audience reception, not great financially as far as I know.
right.
But it's another one of those things where they set themselves up for failure by failing to plan ahead. They
Yep.
don't have the Kevin Feige to coordinate all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so as much as a lot of people enjoyed that movie, you're not setting up your Black Canary well, because she's barely like Black Canary in that movie. So
Right.
it's just I don't know.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the DCU suffers, like you said, from just doing things too soon and not introducing characters. Like putting out Suicide Squad and being like, who are these people?
Yeah.
You unfortunately can't just jump in. And that's where Marvel's planning obviously worked to their advantage, because they would like introduce a solo movie and then, a new character would come in for like 15 minutes at the end, but you already kind of knew who they were. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, there's no way you don't know who like Hulk is, or,
Yeah.
Captain America or Thor. And
Yep.
so you could just see like a little teaser of them, and then their movie was next. So you could just be like, okay, even if I don't really know, it's, kind of a teaser introduction. I don't have to like go through a whole movie being like, there's this guy and he's part of a group and I don't know who he is, you know. So yeah, that's kind of the problem there.
I think it's just a group of executives that don't have the confidence to, put some creatives in charge of something and really have
Right.
them, with do a passion project here and like lead something forward. It's always got to be like, well, look, we need another Batman movie. Make
Right.
another Batman movie. We need one. Like
Right.
Superman, we own him. That's a thing. Everybody knows him. Make another Superman movie. I don't care what it is. We need that on
Right.
the
What it looks
screen.
like. Yeah.
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 So as opposed to Marvel will take a risk with Guardians of the Galaxy
Right.
or B and C tier characters. So
Yeah, but yeah, they do take risks, but I think they take them after they do kind of like the safer movie. Like they introduced like a slew of bigger characters before they did like Guardians of the Galaxy. And then
yeah,
they built that like trust in, oh, we make great movies. Here's maybe a group of characters that you haven't seen, but like you're gonna go because it's us, and like by now you know our brand, and you know that we put out a good product. So take a risk.
well, and everybody in America knows Iron Man and Hulk, or did before the movies, but there definitely were B tier characters.
Yeah.
A list superheroes were Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Wolverine. Like that's the A squad. And so to have Marvel launch their cinematic universe with a B list character and with an actor as the lead that people were very in question of,
Yeah.
I think is.
Yeah, I think that was like their first big gamble for sure. And then after that, I think they kind of rolled out some
They found a
smart.
formula.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, so we built like this great B squad. Now we're going to introduce you to the C squad. It wasn't like one B squad movie and then like, oh, like it was a success. Great. Like here's the C squad.
Yep. It shows a confidence and a respect for the characters that Marvel has created over the years.
I agree.
Well, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna actually watch it. I haven't seen the theatrical cut, so we'll see how this one is.
So you haven't seen Justice League?
No,
Oh, okay.
I
I did.
I tuned out of the DC stuff. As soon as Ben Affleck was announced as Batman, I was out.
Tough. It's
Just was out.
tough. Yeah.
Batchin, Batfleck, I'm just out.
Yeah.
So
It's tough for me to watch him, although now I'm very unsure of their next casting. I feel like
Robert Pattinson.
yeah, I mean, I had a hard time with Ben Affleck the moment he was announced. Like I know you and I had talked about it the moment he was announced and we were both disappointed. But now I feel like at least like out of the bat suit, he was an okay Bruce Wayne. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean? Like because you don't focus on like his physicality in the bat suit where it like frames his chin, which is like obviously a big problem. But at least like out of it, he felt like older. He had a gravitas, and like that's kind of always how I've seen Bruce Wayne. He's not like not older, but he's not like I don't know. I still have a
Yeah.
problem with Robert Pattinson feeling like a teenager,
Yep.
and so I'm kind of like, where is this Bruce Wayne gonna fit with like older characters like Henry Cavill or Gal Gadot? They're not teenagery.
But it
So he's
seems
gonna
like
feel like a weird young character when he should be like Batman's like a more of a lead character.
but it sounds like they're focusing on smaller individual films. Sounds like
Yeah,
they've kind of at this point, though it's sure their dream. It's kind of like I'm sure gonna make all kind. If anyone watches them, and make them all upset, the fanboys. But like it's like Microsoft under Steve Ballmer
hmm
desperately wanted to become Apple, like,
yeah,
and they've given that up now, but it's
mhm,
still like in the back of some of their heads. They're
right,
like, if we can do that, we want to do that,
mhm,
but we're giving up trying basically. And I think
right,
it's the same thing with like they'd love to have the what Marvel has. They'd love to have the universe that's all inclusive and everybody has to see the next one because it's all connected. But they're for now being realistic and pragmatic about it. Like, look, we're going to make movies like The Joker. We're going to make
sure,
movies like Suicide Squad, and they're going to be their own thing.
sure,
So I don't think this Batman will ever see Henry Cavill's Superman or anything like
sure.
that.
Or The Rock's Black Adam, because
Yeah. Ah,
that would be an interesting pairing.
see, but that's the thing. If these movies are good and they keep like making some good ones now, then people are going to wish that they're connected. They're going to
Yeah.
want them to be connected.
Yeah, and
So,
then I don't know, that's just where maybe I'm just making problems where there are none, but that's where I do see a problem if you do want to ever like interconnect Robert
yeah.
Pattinson Batman. I won't believe it. It'll just
Yeah.
be hard for me to see him with everybody else.
Where before it was a lame attempt to connect them, now they're setting up where it's basically going to become impossible to connect them, where they're
Yes.
very clearly not. And, you know, maybe that's what they need to do for now. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I'm excited for Robert Pattinson. I hear he's having trouble adding muscle mass. Um,
I believe it.
but like,
Just I
Michael,
mean, remembering his shirtless scenes from Twilight, there was not a lot going on there. I mean,
he's a
like
kid,
yeah, but that's just how I remember him. And now if he's like
Yeah.
having trouble adding mass, it's like now it's gonna be how I keep seeing him.
Yeah.
He does need
But
to bulk up a little bit.
a little bit, but look at Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was a great Batman.
True.
And, I know that like
He looked like an
standards,
adult though.
what's that?
He looked like an adult though.
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I mean? Like Michael Keaton didn't look like a teenager, even if he was like a more slender
Yep.
Batman.
But I mean, I've come around to Robert Pattinson, because it's kind of like, um, Ryan Reynolds or something like that, just in goofy things. And then after a while, he's still in goofy things, but he's in some less goofy things too. And
Yeah.
he's like actually a man now, and he can
Yeah.
be not just a teen heartthrob thing.
Yeah, I might need to watch something like, The Lighthouse maybe
Yeah.
because, the last couple movies I've seen Robert Pattinson in, it's still very teenage. Even The King, I felt like I mean, he plays the Dauphin, but a very like infantile.
But wasn't he so good at it?
He
Like,
was, but like it doesn't do anything for my perception of him
yeah,
evolving out of a teenagehood.
yeah. No, it's definitely a concern. Same as like James Bond. Sometimes it's a difficult situation because you don't want them to cast someone that's real young because then you don't, I don't know, like you say, they don't have the gravitas. You don't respect them in the same way. You know, you don't want a Backstreet Boy that's James Bond.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, James Bond's supposed to have experience. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like he's not like, some green like, oh, we're like going for an origin story. It's like no, like anytime you see James Bond, he's already like had some stuff happen.
yeah.
So he needs to
Mhm.
be older.
But then you don't want to make them too old, so they
Right.
can
Yeah.
stick around if you like them.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think about like Pierce Brosnan and, the last movie, and it's like, ooh, we're like on the verge of, you're too old now.
yeah, but I see Pierce Brosnan could have gotten a few more movies out. Like he said he was ready to
Hmm.
do what Craig did. Like he was thinking they were going to have him back to do
Oh,
that sort of tonal reboot,
okay.
you
Hmm.
know? And he was ready to do that, like he'd seen how silly it had gotten
Yeah.
and and I think that suited well, especially considering the theme of Craig's Bond has been basically after his first two, it's been a grappling with getting older.
Yep.
Have you lost a step? It's no shame in saying you lost a step or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah, I think my issue in Pierce Brosnan's final Bond was the fact that like he'd sort of let himself go a little physically. You know what I
sure.
mean? Like you can just see like the
But
beginnings of some aging, and I feel like they either needed to address that or he just needed to like recommit himself to being like, I'm gonna work out and like get a little fit now.
see, the interesting thing, and I wonder if it was, I'd like to know the shooting schedule because the beginning part of the movie, when he's captive,
Hmm.
he's like as a shirtless scene and
Oh
stuff. It's
yeah,
like
no, he
he
looks great.
seems pretty fit,
Yeah,
like
no,
normal. And
it's
then
literally
later in the
that.
film,
Yeah, it's that surfing, that ridiculous surfing scene when he's wearing
yeah,
like that tight black shirt, and all of a sudden you're like, does he have
yes,
gut?
yeah.
Like, he's got a little like beer belly or something. What is this? Yeah.
But I mean, then you watch at World's End, Simon Pegg,
Hmm.
and I don't know, he's a studly man. He's got his
Yeah.
big gray beard and
Yeah.
like so. I don't know. That's a tangent. How we anyways, yeah, a Batman. I'm excited for what we get because I'm okay with something being different.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's worry too.
Yeah. I mean, any way we look at it, the DCU is pressing on. Like I was writing about how Henry Cavill is going to, he's in talks to be back as Superman, although it feels pretty locked down. Um, and then he's either going to have a cameo in, they're saying like Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, or Black Adam. So,
Okay.
I mean, with that sort of hinting at, all these movies are being made.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I kind of would love to see him face The Rock.
yeah,
You know?
I feel like it would, yeah, I feel like it would be a very judicious use of his Superman, you know.
Hmm.
Like I think it would be very cool like to have them face off with each other. And I mean, introducing a new character, it's always kind of nice for people to have like a lead in,
Yeah,
like super.
yeah. I don't know. It's risky though, because then yeah, you're connecting it, and then what is I don't know. But
Right?
just from a fan element, I would just love to see Henry Cavill. I mean, even not in the superhero suits, I just would pay to see a fight between Henry Cavill and The Rock. I just,
Well,
I mean,
who I think would win.
yeah, I know, yeah, I know. You'd think The Rock would win. I don't know how tall Henry Cavill seems taller than The Rock. Um,
Seems,
is
yeah, I guess I'd have to see them face to face to know.
The Rock definitely is more stacked. I'm gonna clickety clack some more.
Sure.
How
Yeah,
tall
honestly, who is
is
more stacked than The Rock? Because dang.
well, oh, okay. Henry Cavill's only 6'1". He's as tall as
Okay.
I am. He's a midget. I mean, he is a dwarf.
Suddenly John's like, oh, I could take him. My height.
is the Rock? Well, I should say Dwayne Johnson. But
What is he, like 6 feet?
6'5".
He's 6'5"?
Yeah.
Dang, he seems shorter than that.
Well, it's because he's so stacked.
Yeah, probably because, I mean, obviously he's like wide in a, not fat way, but
Yep.
you know what I mean? He's just so thick. I don't see his height, but dang. All right. Well, who knows then? Maybe I am, right to place my confidence in The Rock there.
I mean, with this, then I would give it to The Rock. Other than, because just the extra mass you gain, even just with every inch, is a substantial thing. And then on top of that, being so double C thick.
Yeah.
But that's not appropriate use of thick. But
I enjoyed it.
and then on top of that, being a wrestler. I mean, I know, I know it's fake, but yeah.
Sean, you should have thrown up a spoiler alert.
Yeah. But I'm sure that physicality and stuff. So unless Henry Cavill has some sort of professional fight experience,
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's probably had, stunt training and stuff like that, but so was The Rock. So, I mean, you don't really get an advantage there either.
Oh, I think this is my wife in chat. Says Henry wins for sexiness. How about that, Andrea?
No, never. Mm-mm.
I would agree. It's 2v1. I mean,
absolutely. The Rock and his double C thickness will prevail.
maybe that all that mass would slow him down.
No, never.
Time for another Twitter poll.
And the reach, so I'm gonna give it to The Rock.
Okay, all right. Well, I would still pay to see it. So
yeah, I mean, if he is in Black Adam, like obviously that would make me more excited. Like that would be really fun to see.
Yeah.
Although I did say in the notes, I would love to see him in Shazam too, just to like get some of the lightness back to Superman. Yeah. So it'd be kind of like an unexpected cameo there, but it'd be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, Shazam, he could kind of freak out, fanboy about him, and could be a fun interaction. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I think anywhere you put him, it's going to be fun. So would be glad to see Henry Cavill back.
Yeah. Well, speaking of bringing like a little humor, a little color back to Superman, so the black and white, color out of space.
Yeah.
So you watched that too, huh?
I did. Okay. I grabbed it from Amazon Prime and I watched it today, actually. Nice. Yeah, I mean, we were texting about it, and I'm a fan of H.P. Lovecraft and his short stories. So I was like, oh, I had no idea that they'd made a movie out of this. And I read the short story a while back. Bill, if you're listening or if you watch this later, I'm so sorry. I still have your H.P. Lovecraft book that I borrowed like 5 years ago. And I started, but I haven't gotten through. But I remember that was one of the first stories in the book, so I had read it. Okay. And I reread it quick again today just because I was curious to see how it stacked up to the movie.
Yeah.
And they definitely made some like very interesting choices to make things different, for sure.
Well, we should throw up a spoiler thing, maybe just in case it wanders into spoiler territory.
Yeah, I hadn't known that this Color Out of Space movie, was just made in the last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had no idea that it was that recent. So yeah, spoilers feel appropriate to me because it's relatively new.
Yeah, I mean, this came into my radar, I think, because Elijah Wood now is really into horror and genre filmmaking.
Okay.
So he's like been less in front of the camera, but he's been producing, and he had a podcast that if I would have thought I was going to bring it up, I would have remembered what it is. But it's called Visitations.
Okay.
And he and a friend interview some prominent directors and filmmakers today, including Taika Waititi's on there, these the Mexican director Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great short podcast series or whatever, but he's an executive producer on this film.
Okay.
And Nick Cage has just been working with their stuff too. So he did Mandy, which was a great, amazing movie, and then this one, Colorado Space. So
Okay. Very cool. Yeah,
yes,
I had no idea that it was out there until you said anything. So thank you.
yeah. Did you like it, and how does it stack up against the story?
I did like it. It's hard to compare the two because I mean there are a lot of shifts. Starting out with the fact that like H.P. Lovecraft tends to write stories, with a narrator that comes into something and talks to local people. His narrator usually is like from out of town, wherever he's setting the story, and he comes in and talks to local people, and they're like, "Yeah, we've got a story around these parts, or there's a legend, or
Mm-hmm.
I witnessed something back in these, kind of dark days." So he tells stories a lot of the time not in a present format. It's
Sure.
always like harkening back to a past, and we're going to tell the story, or you know 75% of the story is somebody harkening back to a past, and then that somehow affects something in the present, but
Sure.
much of the story isn't present. So that was a little different for me to watch this hydrologist, the main character Ward, come in and basically have this happen to him and
Mm-hmm.
around him in the present moment. So that was very, very different, I think.
Yeah. And I love that kind of storytelling because it invites a natural element of mystery, because when you are telling a story, it's about the themes and the general happenings. And as time passes, your story gets more vague but more extreme, more, and so like when it's like telling a tall tale. So when you have to have something in the present moment, it's the detail needs to be there, and so that makes it tough, but I enjoyed the detail.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was really well done adaptation, and it was, I mean, it stretched the story out for sure, but not in a this is too much kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some, like, take for a very well-known example, like the recent Hobbit trilogy, that is like taking one story and stretching it to the limit, and then being like, let's add some more.
Yeah. Yep.
So this was like this is a good limit that you hit. Like it was definitely extra. There were definitely some extra things in there. But they felt okay. Like they felt like, yeah, okay, we're just doing this in a different media. Of course things need to be different. So, but one of the kind of biggest, some of the smaller changes I didn't really mind. Like they changed some of the names. They update, like in the story, they're a little bit like more older. Like Nathan isn't Nathan, he's Nahun. Uh,
Mm.
so it's like, they just sort of like give the names an update. Like he's got sons like Zira and like Nicholas and stuff like that. So they're just like a little bit older that get an update for this. And
Sure.
in this movie, Nick Cage's character, has a daughter, where in the book he has three sons.
Okay.
So just like little things like that didn't really
Yeah.
like shift anything for me. It's like, sure, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we could have a
Yep.
daughter. But the biggest change was his wife. Um,
Okay.
in the book version of the story, she looks into the well that's on the property after the meteorite falls and just goes insane and
Mm.
dies.
Oh.
He kind of keeps her in the attic for a while, and then she just like eventually kind of deteriorates, goes insane, and dies. In this, obviously,
Yeah.
big spoiler, she like gets hit with this like lightning bolt from the creature that's arrived from outer space and merges with her son into this like freaky demon crab human amalgamation, and like goes on a attempted killing rampage
Yeah.
and then gets shot by Nick Cage.
Yeah, it was intense.
Mhm.
I thought the casting was pretty good. I enjoyed the performances.
Yeah, I did too.
Um, Everybody was unique, not too stereotypical in any way.
Hmm.
And I love the alien film that is that can be not Independence Day, oh, aliens are here and they invade and gonna take over,
Hmm.
or little green men or something. This is much more, you know, it's I think it makes sense, but it's kind of naive of us to think that any other life out there would in any way would resemble us,
Yeah. Hmm.
like two legs and two arms or something, like so it's movies like this and that one with that came out a couple years ago that had Jeremy Renner and Amy
Oh,
Adams.
right, right.
Um,
Oh,
um, we were just talking about the other day.
I know.
Arrival, Alan says. Oh, hey, it
Yes.
shows up there. Nice.
Dang.
But yeah, where it's a different take, something more foreign on aliens, and I liked the ethereal, crazy trip that everybody got sent on. Um,
Yeah, that's very, I thought that was what the film did really well, was like stick to the understated tone of Lovecraft stories, because he has kind of two dual obsessions. Um, One with like beings from other planets or other dimensions arriving on Earth and affecting us in some way, but usually it starts off subtle. Like in this case, like the meteorite lands on the farm, and like you see it sort of like kind of like mist out and affect like people's perceptions of things. It infects the ground, it grows a few
mhm.
flowers, like people subtly change their behaviors. It's just very small at first, and then like the ripple effects grow,
Yeah,
but not in a crazy outlandish way for the most part. It's just like these things slowly happen, and like that
yep,
slowly overtakes the farm, but it seems almost normal.
yeah,
So that's like one of his obsessions, and then like the other is these beings from other dimensions, other planets, burrow into the earth or burrow into the water, and there's something underneath,
hmm,
our veneer of everyday life. There's something from the ground or the water beneath us that like rises to the surface to affect us. And I think you
hmm,
see this kind of in his obviously more famous stories about the Call of Cthulhu,
hmm,
where Cthulhu is a being from another dimension that invades people's dreams, first, also via water, as this alien being kind of does in the drinking water and in the
yep,
well of the Gardner farm,
yep,
and then sort of like subtly affects people's behavior, and then all of a sudden it kind of grows into something massive.
yep. It's like a frog in boiling water kind of scenario. You think like, man, you should be freaking out more or something. But yeah,
Right.
when it's this kind of slow build of
Slow
just
boil.
what's wrong, like someone, like you say, someone acting weird, something. And I thought it was cool how they, you know, even when it would get to the point where, okay, obviously this is
Mm-hmm.
messed up, how they didn't necessarily see that. They did a good job of like, I'm just losing time. I'm just not
Right.
understanding. Nick Cage is seeing his family when they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's like they're living different timelines at once, and everybody's affected differently.
Yes.
Nick Cage is smelling things, and someone else is hearing things. And, it's like it's different.
Right. Their son gets lost in the field and is like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be lost in the field. Like,
Yep.
why did that happen? But it did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a nice, different horror movie.
Hmm.
I love H.P. Lovecraft's subtlety, and I thought this did a really good job of like building to these horrible things without needing like jump scares, or
Yep.
it's just nice to have a different kind of horror movie.
Yeah. Ashley and I were talking about that, how it, she had said how she's happy there are horror movies that are like this now that are different,
Hmm.
because there was a time, you know, probably when we were growing up more, where it seemed like everything was just going to be teenagers in a slasher film.
Right.
You know, it was
Which,
everything
I
was just going to
mean,
be Saw.
right, which is fun, sometimes, but you want a little variety.
Yeah, you want that diversity, and it's the same in a lot of media. But I'm glad that horror has found, I think people eventually, even the people that are making or whatever, they see these trends and they get sick of it themselves, and they're like, that's, you know, something new here. So we're
Mhm.
getting some creative people making some fun choices, and you're getting it in lower budget. They know they can do horror in lower budget things.
Right. Yeah, it
So
almost kind of calls back to like 50s and 60s horror, which were considered like kind of the B movies and they could be made on a budget, but it didn't mean they weren't done well.
yeah.
You
Hmm.
don't always need like big budgets to equal great horror movies.
Yep.
I think that's a really great genre that can benefit from like lower budgets and indie filmmaking.
Yep. Hmm. Because less is more. Less is
Absolutely.
more. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I definitely enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it to anyone that's, like you say, into H.P. Lovecraft
Mhm.
or Nicolas Cage or something just kind of ethereal and creepy and
Yeah. So looking for something different in the horror genre. And I mean, just overall, I think a well-told story.
yep,
You know, like I think they took just enough of like the elements of the short story and made it into a great story in film, which isn't
yep,
always easy to do.
yeah,
I think it was a great blend of like honoring the source material and adding something different.
yep, yep. Cool. I feel like we could at some point we could do some things like this and do a deeper dive on them. I'd have to watch it again to see like what else I noticed, but um, yeah,
Yeah, it's obviously I watched it today, so it's like definitely
yeah,
fresh in my mind.
yep.
And I
Mhm.
just reread, the story, so it was like all
Yep.
right there. But yeah.
Mhm. So we're for anyone that's been tuned in so far, it's been a long episode already, but I'm gonna tell you that coming up in the middle of the week, we'll finally get one in. We'll finally get, and
Yeah.
not barring anything crazy, we'll get in our game focused episode in the middle of the week. There's a lot of game stories that have come out and that are coming out, and as you can tell, this is long enough with these things. So
Hmm.
we'll get to that later. Um, and for any of you that are not interested in the Real Housewives, um, you can tune out now.
Or
I
not.
mean, or not. Maybe you'll stick around. Maybe you'll be intrigued. Oh man, those Housewives, they sure sound ratchet. I should tune in.
Or
And
if you're a fan of horror, obviously one of the housewives is going to be in the new Halloween Kills. So Kyle Richards is going to be,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Right.
Well, that's
So
a
if you're a
stretch,
horror
Andrea.
fan,
That's a
come
stretch.
on, I'm trying. This is my
Yeah.
attempt at a segue. It
Yeah.
went sort of well.
All right. So yeah. Um, Thanks for joining us. But everybody else that is interested in Housewives, here it is. The
Yeah.
Housewives recap because we can't seem to figure out how to stream together on social media directly. Oh my God.
Yeah. We've had so many adventures in this. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Man. Okay. So watch get us started on Beverly Hills. What was going on there?
Yeah, so I mean, this week felt like the time that everybody kind of finally sat down and were like, okay, we need to like work out some issues because we've been having these like blow ups at all of our parties and we need to like just figure this out. Which I think is good because I was getting tired of a little bit of the same things being repeated.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think they haven't entirely resolved them, but this was a good first episode to start.
Yeah, I'd say they didn't resolve them. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't think everybody kind of walked away with like,
Hmm.
conscience or whatever, but it was an opening for everybody to deal with their issues.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so obviously the ladies took another little kind of couple day trip, I think just like a weekend trip, and Kyle rented a house for everybody to kind of get together and have a weekend together to have fun and celebrate wrapping shooting on the movie, which I think was a good idea for them to like get out and just kind of be with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good like space for them to work out some issues. Because clearly they have some, and clearly Kyle is kind of the focal point of that right now. Because she has over the past couple episodes kind of been dishing out to some people what she can't seem to take, I think.
Yeah.
Like every time that people have tried to bring up the fact that like they have issues with her and Teddy being super close, and she's not treating the other ladies the way she's treating Teddy, she just like lashes out. She just gets and she deflects on it instead of like just being like, okay, like if all of you are saying this, maybe there's some truth to it and maybe we should just talk about it.
And it's not even always that they're saying they have issue with it so much, just as like,
acknowledge
Kyle,
it.
just admit it, Yeah,
because it is.
Yeah.
Like anybody can see it.
And if Kyle's like acting this extra strange now, I thought it was because of stress and such in her life. And if she's wrapped filming now, shouldn't she feel better and like a weight off her shoulders and be returned to her normal self a little bit more? But
really not.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's just been lashing out, and she's been lashing out mean. Like you wrote about how she said to Erica, like, you don't have any good friends.
Yeah.
Like that was mean.
Yep.
And uncalled for. And Erica was just trying to point something out. And then Kyle said something like totally off base, I think.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just to deflect from the fact
just that lashing out,
yeah, she just can't handle when people like have an issue with her. And instead of being like, okay, let's talk about it, she just wants to like deflect. But then she's like, oh, you're all like phony and you're all fake and stuff like that. And it's like, but you're not being real if you can't talk about your issues, Kyle.
Yeah. Yep. Both Ashley and I were really frustrated with this episode. Like continually, if you can tell from my notes, it's just like, so I talked about, again, there's this stuff coming up about Denise's party and talking about, inappropriate stuff in front of the kids or whatever. And it's so frustrating, like how you can't get this through your head. Like Denise, as an adult, will talk to you about all kinds of things. And just please refrain from being crude in front of my children.
Right.
And then what's her face has the gall to be like, well, maybe next time for an adult party, it wasn't an adult party. It was a party where you were invited and my kids were there too. Like,
right. The second you see kids there, it's not an adult party.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know if you
right. Like, I don't know if you had different expectations coming into it, but the second you see children, like, that changes the tone right there.
Family-friendly event.
Yeah. And, like, it's Denise's house. Like, she can invite her kids if she wants to. Like,
and I get the same thing, too, when they talked later. Like, it's not that she's necessarily in denial that her kids aren't going to hear about sex and stuff. It's that they don't want to hear it from her.
Right.
So she doesn't want to hear it. Both ways. The kids don't want to hear about it from her, and she doesn't want to talk about it with them. Like it's just like.
And like if like Rinna brings up that she talked about her sex book with her kids, and like she talked about like how to do sexual things with her kids, and like that's great, but that's your parenting style.
Yeah.
Like you can't impose that on other people.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't be like, well, I did this with my kids, so, like, what do you think? And, like, oh, it's super naive to think that they don't talk about it. And again, like, that's not the point here. The point is Denise, as a parent, doesn't want to, like, have her children overhear crude things at a dinner party. Not that she doesn't talk to kids about sex. Like, that's just, like, a different conversation that you have one-on-one with your kids.
Yep. So why it keeps being made a big deal of, it's annoying. I did write. I thought that Denise she should have just more accepted Kyle's apology. I guess. Yeah. But.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I was still like annoyed with Kyle's like weird pettiness about her ice sculpture.
Yeah.
Like, there, she made such a weird big deal out of like this ice sculpture. It was like, One ice sculpture.
That's so
And
not
it was
Denise. Yeah.
small. It was small. Like it wasn't like she had like 12 ice sculptures around her yard and like
Yeah.
diamonds and chandeliers and she showed up in a
Yep.
ball gown. Like she had one small ice sculpture. Get over
Yep.
it. Who cares? I
Yep.
don't know. Like I was
And then
kind
they
of
comment,
annoyed with like they're all being like, well, you're stuck on this dinner party, Denise. And I feel like saying like, Kyle, you're stuck on this dinner party.
yeah. Yep. I don't know. And yeah, and then Kyle, like, she just was expecting her to get drunk. Like, where's drunk Denise, basically? Where's
Yeah,
party Denise? And then she's like, upset. I get when you want to party and everybody else wants to go to bed. I get that or whatever,
right.
But still, it's just, I don't know. Kyle's being annoying.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody's
not
being annoying.
a fan right now.
Um, oh, so yeah, some fashion statements.
Mm-hmm.
Erica's garbage bag outfit, not good.
Thumbs down. Thumbs
Yep,
down.
thumbs down. Denise's hair was good at the dinner party. I liked it. Kind of
Yeah.
up like that. And I see that
I
you,
yeah.
yeah.
I did not like Arena's square sandals. Those just like look like weird feet shovels. I don't have a
Yeah.
better description of it, but it just looked like she could just like shovel her feet somewhere.
Maybe that's the point, Yeah.
Maybe,
You need to dig a little trench,
right?
you're
For the beach and you dig your toes in the sand or something. But yeah, I just wasn't a fan. I thought it looked weird, especially with her like turtleneck sweater dress. I don't know. That just she just had some like weird
in a
silhouette.
thin chain.
Yeah, I just wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, her turtleneck sweater and her really thin chain.
Yeah,
I
wasn't
don't know if
working
she had
for
a thin
me.
chain. I'm just gonna go with it. Um, yeah, and then I think the last thing I put in here, Dorit shading Teddy. What was that about? I don't remember.
Like right at the end there, when Dorit was kind of trying to bring up her issues again, like with
Mhm,
Kyle and with Teddy and with her, her comments at Erica's astrology slash dinner party.
mhm.
And Teddy kind of finally piped up. She'd been pretty quiet the whole episode, which I mean, I get, especially if the ladies are like getting drunk at, wine tasting and she's like, well, I'm pregnant and sober and I can just, watch you be crazy. But she finally piped up and was like, Dorit, I feel like your issue is with me and stop trying to like bring Kyle into you shading me. Like everything you're saying is actually about me and you're trying to like give me some shade. And I didn't get that at all. Like I did
Yeah,
not understand where that was coming from. Because
yeah,
I feel like once again, Dorit was just trying to explain her issue and Teddy like jumped in,
yeah.
which is
Right.
like the basis of Dorit's issue.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Right.
trying to talk to Kyle right now and you're like jumping in.
Yep.
And this is why I feel like you're a team and you're like together and you just need to acknowledge it.
Hmm. Teddy can only hold out for so long. She can
Yeah.
only hold her tongue for so long, and then it's like, gotta get in there.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
yeah, I obviously like the episode kind of ended with some things being talked about but maybe not quite resolved and then Rinna just like randomly bringing up, kind of shifting back to Denise and being like,
yeah,
"Oh, hey, do you talk to your daughters about Charlie's hookers?" And I was just like, "Where? What? Why?"
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, she's definitely epic pot stirrer for sure. So
She is, but I think that's like a step too far. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's like a weird sort of
it's
like attacking thing and it's like something that's obviously very sensitive and very difficult probably for Denise to talk to her kids about because she does have to walk this line of like telling them the truth versus like I don't want you to like
yeah,
be disgusted or hate your father and I don't want
yeah,
you to know everything he's ever done, which is legit. Like, she has some younger children than Rinna
yeah,
does.
yeah.
I mean, Rinna's kids are basically grown and, Denise's oldest is like what, like 15?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was it Garcelle, the new one? Right?
Yes. Mhm.
She has the same kind of thing. She has her sons, and she doesn't want to talk bad to them about
Right.
their dad. And that's
Right.
great. So they can keep what the family unit they can together, and it's,
Right. And
that's adult business, you know.
right, yeah, when they're a little bit more adults, and if they, kind of find more stuff out, then they can have an adult conversation about it. But
Yeah.
they're just too young to like fully grasp, I think, all the nuances of the situation
Yep.
and to take time to sort out their feelings and not just be reactive.
Dr. Phil always talks about that. You have adult conversations in front of your kids or with them. They're kids. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're not ready for that. I mean, adults aren't ready for nuance, let alone children. So,
True. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
No need to rush it.
yeah. So New York was a
Yeah.
shit show.
Speaking of adults versus children, whoa.
Yeah,
There's
man.
some childlike behavior happening here, and also some parenting debates, obviously,
Yeah, like,
between Elise and Leah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, she's right, in like what kind of example is this setting? But at the same time, was it her place to go
Yeah.
there? You know?
Yeah. I don't think so. I think there was another way to talk to Leah about her behavior, especially because Elise barely knows
Yeah,
Leah,
they don't
doesn't.
know each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the time to like dive into that area. But I also think Elise was right in the sense of like, hey, we should probably talk about some of this behavior because it was a little
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So on the topic of Leah's behavior, I put Leah, if you know you have to hide your psycho bitch side, maybe you should work on that somehow. Like,
Yeah.
like, I mean, look, I think I know what she's saying, maybe that, when you are drinking a lot, you're removing inhibitions.
Yep.
So people will be like, well, that's your true self or whatever. Well,
Mhm.
not really,
It's a
because
piece, it's a piece of yourself, like
yeah,
anything else.
well, what you are is how you decide to be. And
Hmm.
when you are changing your brain chemistry, or when you're adding
Hmm.
alcohol to the equation, you are, like, by definition, not being yourself, because
Right.
you don't have the ability to choose as you would normally.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I think it's kind of half and half. Like, you're not your true self, but you're a piece of yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously you have um like a lot of people would say you have like an inner voice, or kind of an inner self that you listen to or don't, or take into consideration. You don't always act on the things you think on the inside. And when you lower your inhibitions, you do tend to say things or do things that you normally wouldn't.
Yep.
Um, but you think them, and you kind of talk to yourself about them. So I mean, it's a piece of you, but it's
Yeah.
a piece of you that you, when you're fully rational, don't choose to act on all the time.
Mhm.
So
But
it's a
it's
piece
like
of
you're,
yourself, but it's not your true self, I wouldn't say.
yeah, because your thoughts don't comprise you. Like,
Right.
thoughts are thought. I mean, it's thinking of a dream. Those are thoughts that go through your brain that you
Right.
don't even have control over, that may disgust you or what. I mean, whatever. You don't. I mean, it's just like, thought isn't a crime, and it doesn't comprise your being.
Right.
Your rational mind decides what to make of your thoughts
Mhm.
and how to act upon them or whatever. So,
Right.
like, yeah, I don't know. If that's what she's meaning, something like, this is my true self, or if she really just goes through day-to-day life and she would much rather act like this, I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of took that with a grain of salt. Like, I think she was, saying like, I wish I could be free more and just like, kind of,
Yeah.
act on some of my desires. But I think like the rational part of her brain is like, obviously I can't, like,
Hmm.
in normal society, I can't exist this way. But like, sometimes it is really freeing to do. And why can't I act this way, especially
Yeah.
around women who, like the show kind of supported her in saying like, or in showing clips of all of them getting drunk and doing like really crazy things. It's like, that's what Housewives is for.
Yeah.
Like everybody's had that moment where they just like go a little crazy, like, you know. it
Yep.
happens. So like ease the judgment a little bit.
Yes. No, for sure. I mean, Leah's issue has become like, um, you know, a person can get crazy going drunk. As I mean, I wouldn't know personally, but the but when you do something, um, like it's the frequency. If
Yeah,
every time you're gonna drink, you're gonna get insane. People excuse someone if they, all of a sudden, wow, they really hit it hard tonight, and they're,
right,
like whatever. But um, if every time you take a sip, you're now getting to that point, it's
right.
becoming an issue.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, I mean, I think everybody's had anybody who's, legal age to drink, has overdone it of an occasion and, had a night where they're like, whoa, that was a little extra. Or,
I don't
they
know
don't
what you
make
mean. Yeah, I don't know.
no, I've never done that.
Hmm.
But like, you
Yeah,
either remember that you were a little extra or you completely don't
yeah,
remember, but other people are like, oh, that was an interesting night. But
yeah,
like you said, kind of forgive people when it's once in a while and it's
yeah.
not every single time. Every single time becomes like, we have an issue.
And in the right circumstance, I mean, the situation as well is different. Like if you're at, you're in a pretty safe place, you're at someone's house, or,
Mhm.
whatever, there's scenarios, or you're at Coachella, I guess, whatever,
Yeah,
but when
yeah,
you're at a dinner party that's nice, and you have like chefs there preparing you things, like there are different situations where you'd be okay letting yourself get to that point or not.
right. Different context for sure.
Yeah.
Like her at Ramona's house was just like, crazy fun,
Yeah.
like, like we're in a safe space. And then
Yep.
here was like most of it I was like, oh, this is a little embarrassing. And then, when she started like ripping the curtains on the
Yeah.
arbor, I was like, oh, this is like a little destruction of, their property. Like,
Yeah.
you really need to tone
Well,
it down.
tiki torches versus, I mean, what's the difference,
Right,
right?
but like, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
yeah. Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
it's
one thing
Ramona's
could pull
property
the
and it,
whole thing down on the group,
right.
or,
Right. Or
uh,
like just, I mean, she just like threw the tiki torches. She didn't like snap them in half or something, I guess.
I
And
mean,
here she was like ripping, like literally ripping the fabric of the carpet or
if
the
there had been a
curtain.
burn warning, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I don't
But
know.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think in this case it was just like a little bit much. Although, I mean, I definitely understand her initial reaction of Ramona feeling like she was trying to police her. And,
Yeah.
you sort of like get that very defensive, like, I'm fine, I can take care of myself, like, don't mother me. And
Yeah.
you unfortunately sometimes make some poor decisions,
Hmm.
based on that sort of reactiveness. And I
Yeah.
think that's a little bit what was going on here.
Well, I don't think Leah should have invited her friend, or her sister, rather.
No, I agree. I agree. That
Yeah.
was rude. I mean,
Because
I get Leah's going through like a tough time and she was like bummed about her breakup and she wanted to be with her sister, but
you need to
unfortunately,
ask about that and not be the pressuring,
yeah,
like, hey, I would love it if my sister could come hang out with us. I think you'd like her. I get it. Like, you have this booked and stuff, if you
right.
say no, but the like kind of, yeah, she really did pressure Ramona
Mhm.
into accepting, and that wasn't a good move.
No, no. I mean, I sort of at first I sort of thought that maybe she was just wanting her to like come to dinner. I was like, oh well, I mean, I don't like love it, but it's not like the whole weekend. And then I realized she was trying to like have her invited on the whole weekend. I was like, oh, that's like a
Short
lot.
notice.
Right.
It's
That's a
yeah.
lot asking, especially when you're already like on the trip. You
And
know
you're
what I mean? Like,
already you're new to the group too. You're not
right,
like,
right.
so
Yeah. Yeah, it felt a little weird, but I also didn't love Ramona's like flip-flopping around. Like
yeah.
you can't jerk someone around like that. Like yes, no, yes, no. Just like say no, be
Es-
firm, make a decision.
Especially when they've gotten to the point of like drinking that she did.
Yeah, that was the wrong
Bad.
time. All
Yeah.
of that up. Yeah.
Uh, I made the one comment that I just like thought in my head, because Tinsley said, "Oh, I'm not going to let her get me naked again," or something like that. And I just thought, you better get naked while people want you to get naked.
That's right.
Because, later
Enjoy
you're
your
going to be
fitness,
like,
enjoy your glory days.
what's that?
Enjoy your fitness and enjoy your glory days,
That's
Tinsley.
right. That's right. It's the same thing as like, well, boy, don't get a tattoo because it's going to look like crap when you're old. You're already going to look like crap when you're old. Like,
Exactly.
you're not worried about what you look like when you're old. You need
Right.
to worry about what you look like when you're not old. And so I'm sorry I'm age shaming. I'm sorry, whoever,
I don't
but
think so. I mean, it's just kind of like your body does deteriorate as you get older. You're not like in this like sort of peak condition that you are. And like, who cares what it looks like? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, why let the fear of like what is going to happen in the future dictate something like that, especially with your body?
yeah.
Like you said, if you're gonna look terrible as you get older, like then just look terrible. Accept
If
it.
you're, well, I just, when you're young and you're fit and, like Tinsley's in her 40s or something, whatever, and she looks great. So,
She looks
like,
better than me, and I'm in my 30s.
it's just like, don't worry about it, so
Yeah,
much because then you'll get older and you'll wish people wanted to see you naked and
right.
they won't. So
Well, and I mean, Tinsley broke up with her boyfriend. She's on the market. Show it off, girl.
there you go. Yep. Dating tips from Andrea, dating 101. Just show it off.
That's
Yep.
right. Yep.
Um, did Dorinda say the other 51 states?
She did.
I I didn't rewind it, but I'm pretty sure you just said like all other 51 states or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
She had a little like senior
oops.
moment there.
Wasn't Dorinda interesting in this episode? It's like she's in support of Leah because finally someone is getting more messed up than she is.
Yeah.
So she can be like, focus is off me. I can defend. See, I'm not so bad, eh?
Right. Yeah, I did like Dorinda in this episode a bit more, mostly because I think she like held many of her meaner comments back.
Yes.
Like she was getting a little harsh in the former episodes. And I mean, she and Tinsley finally made some steps forward. I don't know if it's like a full reconciliation, but it's just something.
Yep.
And it was kind of fun to see her defend Leah and be like, "This girl's crazy. I love it." So.
Well, having not seen a lot of New York now, but having seen it this season thus far, how are you liking it so far? What's your impression of New York?
I like it. I still like Beverly Hills more,
Mm-hmm.
but I think, I would kind of want to try some other Housewives universes. Um, because I don't know, or maybe I need to see like earlier episodes of New York, maybe. But I have found like several people to be more annoying. Like I find Ramona tough a lot of the time.
Okay. Yep.
And I find Sonia tough. Like she started out really fun, and then these like last couple episodes, I'm just like, I don't know where your brain is at. Like you're just like going around to basically like every one of the girls. You feel like you have a new alliance every episode, and you're like harsh on somebody else every episode.
Well,
you know what I mean? She just like shifts so often. I'm like, man, girl, like who are your friends? Who aren't you willing to talk about? I don't know.
I guess that's good because they're part of the old guard,
Yeah.
If someone's gonna go, it's gonna be them eventually, versus
Right.
some of these the new blood.
Right. Yeah. And I'd be okay with that. I mean, like I said, I thought Sonia started out kind of fun, and now I'm just like, I'm not sure that
I've always been back and forth on Sonia.
Yeah.
Back and forth. I have no idea. Throughout the seasons, just
I can't make up my mind. Like one minute I like her, and then suddenly I'm just like, what is this? Like, I don't know.
I've never really enjoyed Ramona.
Yeah.
She's
She's not my cup of tea.
she lies and she won't own up to stuff. Typically, like, I don't know. So.
Yeah, well, and she like says stuff and then just kind of like backs away from it. And it's like you can't just say something and then want people to completely ignore it. Like you have to, if you said something, like we have to talk about it.
She continued some of it this season, but last season was a lot of it too, where she was just like always out running off in the middle of their things to do other stuff.
Sure.
Or like there was this big thing in the last season where she like moved her seat or something at a wedding, so she wasn't sitting by Sonia, and it was like caught on camera and she didn't realize, saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm want to sit someplace else" or something. I don't remember, but and she never wants to own up. She just tries to make excuses for it all.
Yes.
So
yeah, I have a hard time with that. Like she seems like just this like weird flip-floppy personality that isn't very strong. Like it flips between being almost like too strong and then too weak. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no consistency to her personality, and I'm having a hard time with it.
Well, Ramona, I'm sorry for listening. All right. Well, that's Housewives. Maybe we'll get, maybe eventually we'll get our separate stream up for Housewives.
Yeah, we started, and
yeah,
we'll try to figure it out in the future again, I think.
Yep. I mentioned this earlier, but if you weren't here then, or I forgot, we're doing show clips now, kind of highlighting certain segments of past episodes. So those will be on YouTube. I want to thank Killing the Flower for our theme song. It's still pretty new. I hope you like it. Check them out on Spotify and on Instagram. Make sure you follow us, Popcast on the Rocks, at Twitter and Facebook, and go to our website. Yeah. Website's cool. It's got fun pictures of us.
That's right.
And be sure to comment and share and all that stuff. Let other people know if you're interested. We try to do one episode every weekend, and we're trying to throw in a bonus one in the middle of the week. So, yeah, that's about it.
All right.
We hit a good time on this one as well. Over the 2-hour mark. It's not a good show if it's not over 2 hours.
That's right.
Sure, Alan,
lots of opinions.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and I'll talk to you later, Andrea.
Sounds good. Cheers.
Bye.